Apparently, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree in the Trump family, especially when it comes to having an opinion on the whole change the name movement that has been chasing down Dan Snyder in DC for 2 decades now. I guess it shouldn't come as a surprise, but Donald Trump Jr. was in the news recently, trying to make Papa proud, doing his rendition of weighing in on the whole Washington football team situation with the amount of tact and precision that you would expect. Instead of praising the recent decision to finally change the team's nickname from a word that has been protested for over 2 decades now, or adding any sort of rhetoric towards unity or societal growth, Trump Jr. decided that he was there for one thing and one thing only: to pour some gasoline on that raging fire. And that he did, by tweeting out a cartoonish rendering of a southern man, a cigarette dangling from the lips, a mohawk, a bandana and all, with big block lettering that reads, "Wouldn't offend me, how about you?" He captioned the pictures, "I heard they're still looking for a name." Ah yes, a grand point by the man-child who grew up with a silver spoon in his mouth. Why in the world would Trump Jr. ever take offense to the term redneck? I mean, he was born into a family that has had generational wealth and was in the process of building out a massive real estate empire. Not to mention the fact that he was born in Manhattan and went to the University of Penn. He honestly could not have any less ties to the culture that redneck refers to. And even if he did, there is no legitimate basis to treat the word with the same sensitivity that Washington's former nickname warranted. This was just another political move in my opinion, trying to rally up that anti-cancel culture folk who think that society has gotten soft or whatever. Because when your family is supposedly worth all this money from decades of real estate development, it's a pretty safe bet that you don't actually identify with the aforementioned southern slang term. Of course, his post got he and his father's fanbase riled up. For anyone who has not followed along with his father's long-standing feud with those pushing for Washington to change its name, the Potus was none too fond of the idea. As early as 2013, he was on Twitter blasting former President Barack Obama, no shocker there, arguing that the president should not be telling a privately owned franchise to change its name. That was 7 years ago. 7 years, and here we are still having the same arguments. And while it seems like public opinion has finally been swayed, considering that Dan Snyder was forced by his sponsors to change the name, Trump has remained consistent in his position. Again, unsurprisingly and unapologetically, he took to Twitter to make a mockery of the situation, and take a parting shot at one of his longtime enemies, Elizabeth Warren, in the process. The name teams out of strength, not weakness, but now the Washington Redskins and Cleveland Indians, 2 fabled sports franchise, look like they're going to be changing their names in order to be politically correct. Indians, like Elizabeth Warren, must be very angry right now. To be honest, this whole situation could not have played out any more chalk than it did. Now, if either Trump wanted to make a legitimate suggestion that would help move this renaming process along, a safe choice would be to follow the example set by Miami University of Ohio, who, despite having a longer tradition of using the same nickname that the Washington football team used to, actually changed the name ahead of the 1997-1998 season to the Redhawks. The process was honestly pretty simple too. They didn't let the issue become a huge political debate. Instead, a university representative spoke with the Miami tribe, and together they decided on a change. And they changed the logo to a fun rendering of a hawk, swoop. But that right there would be way too simple for Dan Snyder now, wouldn't it? Well hey, what do you think the Washington football team's new name should be? Join us in that comment section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton, and hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.